I mean, somebody should have taught Jesus MBA. I mean, somebody should have taught him business management or business administration or something like that. Somebody should have really taught him marketing skills and publicity skills. I mean, think about this. Just bear with me for some time. In John chapter 8, he is teaching in the synagogue. Now remember, you as Jesus are in the heartland, the heart of Israel. And you want followers. And if you want followers and you want disciples, you're there preaching in the temple area, and that's fine. He's near the treasury, he's preaching there, and then they bring him this adulterous woman. He messes up with their theology. He tells them, you know what, if any of you have not sinned, throw the first stone. None of them manage to throw the stone because their conscience pricks them. They just walk away. Then Jesus goes away, has another altercation with them, telling them that he's the light of the world, and there's some confusion. And after all that encounter and back and forth, in John 8:31, you finally have these Jews that begin to believe in Jesus. And it says then, John 8:31, then Jesus said to those Jews who believed in him, if you abide in my word. And that's where he just ruins it as far as publicity and marketing is concerned. He just ruins it. I mean, his TRP ratings would have plummeted completely. See what he says. He says, if you abide in my word, and you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now that doesn't go down well with the Jews, because they're saying, listen, we are free already. We are sons of Abraham. We are not in any bondage to anybody. And then Jesus goes and says stuff to them which just doesn't go down well. He offends them with his truth. And the same Jews that believed in him, he goes on and he tells them, if the Son makes you free, you're free indeed, but you don't believe me because you're not of God, you're not of God the Father. This says, we have our father. That father is Abraham. He says, if Abraham was your father, you would not seek to kill me. He's telling the Jews that believed in him. Then they say, we are not born of fornication. We've got one father and he is God. And he says, listen, if God was your father, it would have been different, but God's not your father. If God was your father, you would have heard me. You would have taken my words. You would have accepted me, not wanted to kill me. And then Jesus does the worst blunder as far as PR is concerned. The worst blunder as far as PR is concerned. He goes and he says, you are of your father, the devil. Just right there, in verse 44. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. And they go on and tell him, listen, you've got a demon. And he says, no, I don't have a demon. If anyone keeps my word, he will never see death. And they say, listen, now we know you've got a demon, because Abraham is dead. And if you says, if anyone keeps my word, he shall never taste death, are you greater than our father Abraham? And he says, even your father Abraham rejoiced to see this day. And the Jews said to him, you are not even 50 years old, and you have seen Abraham? How do you know he would have rejoiced to see the day of your coming? And Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. Now, if you want to gain followers and fans, that's the last thing you do. You don't say words like that. You just gain their confidence. You speak stuff that goes down well with them. You speak stuff that makes them feel really nice. You don't say that you are literally the Son of God, that you are God himself come down in the flesh. You don't tell them, before Abraham was, I am. And in verse 59, you see the very Jews that believed took up stones to throw at him. But you see, Jesus was not this MBA grad marketing specialist kind of a preacher. He was a truth preacher. He preached the truth no matter what. And what is this truth that he preached? What is it that he spoke to these Jews that they took up stones to throw at him? If you go back to John 8:31, you see what he says there. He says, if you abide in my word, if you carry on in my word, which they didn't, they just moved on from his word in just a few minutes actually. If you carry on in my word, you are my disciples indeed, he says. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And then when they asked him, from what is the truth going to set us free? He says, see, listen, everyone who practices sin is a slave of sin. And he makes this remarkable statement. He says, every slave has a limited time in the household, but the son lives in the house forever. So if the son sets you free, you are free indeed. And they can't comprehend it. How can anyone be free from sin? Because the Son has set you free on that cross. Brothers and sisters, we have to change the way we look at ourselves from the moment we put our faith in Jesus Christ. You are no longer a sinner from that moment. You are no longer a slave from that moment. And even if you've messed up after that, you are no longer a slave. You are a son. You have moved from slavery to sonship, and you are free indeed. Change your mindset from that of a victim and a slave to that of a son in the household of God. That's the truth. And you might say, and you might get offended, and you might say, see, listen, it's not that easy. You've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and you've got to pray this, and you've got to pray that, and then only can you become and walk in this sonship. And I'm here to tell you, see, listen, Jesus said it in his own words. If the Son has set you free, you are free indeed. Walk in that freedom. Walk in that freedom. Jesus' truth will pierce you and hurt you and offend you if you are a dead religious person. Jesus' truth will offend you if you are trying to work out your own salvation. Jesus' truth will offend you, and you will try to change the interpretation and the meaning of that truth if you are somebody who wants to earn salvation by the law. But you know what? If you read the truth of Jesus as it is, you will realize that he just loves you and he has set you free by his word. Go and live that freedom. Get your life right with Christ, right with God, by putting your faith in Jesus Christ, and walk in that freedom. And let's start preaching truth. Not half-truths, not partial truths, not maybe truth, maybe not truth, but truth. Downright truth. God bless you.